Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about taking action. A lot of us are stuck sitting around thinking about our dreams, desiring our dreams, but we don't take action. The same goes for our intellectual pursuits. Many of us will pick up 30, 40 books and read them in depth and claim to be experts on a subject, but when it comes to actually putting into practice the lessons we learn in these books and changing our lives, then we don't do it. So why is that? Why don't we take action? Well, we've become part of this culture that values information so much. Our entire lives revolve around things like the internet, our mobile phones, newspapers, TV, and all of this is just this big exchange of information. So when we want to become good at something, when we want to take on a new skill or whatever, our first focus is just obtain as much information as possible, digest all these books, read all these things online, listen to all these speakers online, watch all these documentaries or these films or whatever on the subject. We just want to consume and consume more information. And the thing is, consuming this information is great. It's absolutely vital to have the information that you need. But that information immediately becomes invalid if you don't put it into practice. See, it's all well and good if you read 10 books about how to ride a bike, but if you don't actually ever get on a bike and try riding it yourself, that knowledge is not going to do you any good. You're going to be telling someone, well, you balance in this way and you pedal like this, but you're not going to actually have the experience to be an educated person on the subject. See, education is half the knowledge, half the experience. And so I want to encourage you all to take some action today. I know a lot of you are here and you're wanting to learn more, you're wanting to better yourselves. So those of you that are here to better yourselves, I want you to ask yourself a simple question. Are you just consuming the knowledge? Are you taking in the knowledge and feeling better? Or are you actually putting that knowledge into action? Because a lot of us unfortunately do fall into the first group. Some of us even just consume the knowledge for entertainment purposes. We get a little rush when we learn something new about the world or learn a new technique, but we don't ever actually make use of them. And that's a shame really, because it's the making use that actually brings the benefits. So I want to share with you a little thing that you can do in terms of the actual information that you consume to encourage you to put more action into what you learn. And that's to read slower. When you're reading a book, or in fact when you're listening to something too, you want to consume that information slower. What do I mean by consuming it slow? Well, don't just rush to finish a book. Your goal should be to actually learn and understand the information inside that book. In other words, if you need to reread a page 30, 40, even 100 times just to completely understand and memorize everything on it, then that's better than even going to the next page. Reread that page as many times as you need and look what you can learn from it and look what you can start doing immediately to take some benefit from that. And do the same with listening. Re-listen to videos, re-listen to audio tapes that you found valuable information in. Make sure you understand the information fully. And if you don't understand, well, if it's one of these videos, you can leave a comment below and ask me questions and I'll be happy to answer them. And when you don't understand something, you need to go back over the information. And then once you understand it, you need to put it into practice, because when you learn something, when you take some information into your brain sort of keeps it there in a temporary location where it's going to get rid of it at some point. When you then learn to understand that information, it says, okay, maybe I need to hang on to this for a bit. But it's only once you actually put that information into action and you prove to your brain that this is something valuable, that this is benefiting you, that you can do something with it. That's when your brain actually keeps it and holds on to it for good. So how can you get started taking action today? Well, in my video about energy and motivation, I've given you some things that you can do each day. And I'll leave the link at the top of the video so you can check that out. But in short, you should start building up a healthy routine each day, and you need to start looking at what you can start doing today to start achieving your dreams. And you need to stop making excuses, because all of us do this. All of us are guilty of making excuses. We'll say, well, I want this dream job, but I'm not going to go for it yet because I've already got a job. Well, the fact that you've already got a job shouldn't stop you from pursuing your dream job. In fact, if anything, the fact that you've got a job should be leveraged, because since you've got a job, you've got some level of security, so you can freely work on, in your free time, making yourself more ready for the dream job that you want and finding the opportunities that will lead you there. Otherwise, what will happen is when you lose your current job, you're going to be jobless and you're not going to be able to think about your dream job because you're more worried about just having any job so that you can pay the bills. Now, the other thing that we're all guilty of is trying to wait until the circumstances and the situation are perfect. And this is never ideal because the situation is never going to be perfect. You say you want to write a book, but you want to wait until you can write a bestseller. Well, you're never going to write a bestseller unless you write the shitty book now. Yes, that might sound strange, but yes, you have to do things badly before you can do them well. You have to practice. And who knows, maybe you're a natural talent. Maybe you'll actually write that bestseller in your first attempt. It happens. But it doesn't happen for most people, which means that you have to be ready to fail before you can succeed. You see, success doesn't come from success. Success comes from repeated failure and repeated attempts that build up strength, that build up motivation, and that get you to the end destination. So I want you to start on whatever projects you've been putting off today. You wanted to make a game, start making it. You wanted to write a book, start writing it. You wanted to get that job, start looking for it. Don't just sit around and procrastinate. It's not what you want to do with your life. If you're just sitting around in your armchair reading and reading and reading, that information is going in, getting put in a temporary place, and then getting tossed out the window. You'll remember bits and pieces, but you won't remember the important thing because you haven't got the important thing. The important thing is your experience. So get started now. It doesn't matter where you are, what level of skill you're at, if you've even started anything at all. You could be at zero skill, you could have never attempted this thing before, it could be a million miles away. You have to take the first step now. You only have so much time to get there. So if you don't start walking now, you might not get there at all. But what if I don't have time for starting now, you might say? What if I don't have time to fail before I succeed? Well, if you don't have time to fail, then you don't have time to succeed. Because success is built up off of all that past experience. It's something that comes when you've practiced, when you put in the time. You can't just be an overnight success. Sometimes it happens accidentally to people, but if you actually want your success to last, if you want to build something, you need to start off small and work up and keep working at it. And the thing you'll find as well is that when you take action, you start to build up momentum. It's a snowball effect. When you do one little thing towards your goal, the second thing is much easier than it was to start on that in the first place. In other words, say you want to write a book. Well, writing the first page is the hardest part of writing a book. And I can attest to this from personal experience. The hardest part is writing the first page. Once you've written the first page, you start to get into a flow. And at that point, you can crank out the next several pages, and then more and more. And at that point, you'll find that probably the last half of the book is done in the same time as it took you to write the first few pages. Because really what we're struggling to do is not to actually do things, but it's to get started doing them. It's to get ourselves in the mood. It's to get ourselves in flow. And if you check out my video on being present and being in the now, then that's a good way to get started. If you get yourself present through meditation and then you take on the activity, you go, okay, I'm going to start writing now, then you'll find that, yes, maybe you make a few mistakes here and there at the start, but you quickly get into it. You quickly get into flow because you've got your thinking conscious mind out of the way, and instead you're dealing with it on a more raw, natural level. And what about those goals that you really don't know where to start? You don't know what to do to move towards them. Just start anyway. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you don't know the right thing to get started with. Just start doing something. Say you want to be a famous footballer and you don't know how to go about doing it. Well, why aren't you out playing football now, training physically? Yes, you might not know how to become famous and how to become big, but you should be doing the things that you can do in your state to put yourself closer to that goal. And this is something I'm going to cover in a lot of videos, because I feel like so many of us have these big dreams that we could accomplish, and we stop ourselves. We say, hold on, are you sure you can do that? Nah, I probably can't do that. I'm probably not that good at it. And if I started, I'd probably fail, blah blah blah. But 100% of people who don't attempt something will fail at it, because you didn't attempt it in the first place. Whereas the people who attempt something will likely fail too, at first. But they'll fail, and then they'll do it again. And they'll do it again slightly better. And they'll do it again and again and again, until they get it. And when they get it, now they have a chance. And at that point, they can go out and make their dream a reality. So I want you today to pick one thing that you can do to move yourself closer to your dreams, to get your health in a better place, to get your mind in a better place, to get your wealth in a better place, to get your friendships in a better place. Pick something that is going to benefit you in the long run and get started on it today. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, hit subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below letting me know your thoughts. And also leave a comment letting me know what your plan for today is and what you're doing today to take action.